Good morning, third graders. Today we are on page 239 of your student journal, and we're on Unit 12, Lesson 6. Our objective or our goal today is, today I will measure lengths of objects using a ruler and use the data to create a line plot. Okay, let's discuss that very long objective because that is a really long objective. Okay, so the first thing it says, we're going to be measuring objects using a ruler. Now, if you don't have a ruler at home, don't worry. Let's talk about a few options you have. So I already ripped out the page to show you, but on page 240, 241, you have a ruler. You may cut this ruler out and use this. Now, I know this was a really bad planning of the book because if you cut out your ruler, guess what happens? You ruined this page on 241. Don't worry about it though. We're going to be doing this page together and you could just follow along with mine. So you could cut out the ruler on page 240 if you don't have one. Another option, boys and girls, is in your homework book on page 83. On page 83 in your homework book, there's also a ruler you could cut out if you'd prefer to do that. Or obviously, if you have a ruler at home, you could use. But somehow you are going to want a ruler to use. Okay, then it says we're going to use the data. Data just means information. So we're going to use the data to create a line plot. Okay, so let's talk about this line plot here and what this is. So in our vocabulary, we see that it says measurement units. And our first measurement unit says a whole unit 4 inches. So it's just to the whole number. Then we have half-inch number where our fraction would be halves. Then we have quarter inch where we have 4 1/4 inches, 4 2/4 quarters, or 4 3/4. So we are going to actually be measuring all the way to the nearest quarter. Now the nice thing is the ruler that they provide for us, which I already cut mine out, actually does have my inches cut nicely into quarters. So I have 0 to 1 and then it was cut into 1, 2, 3, 4 spots or 4 quarters. So this ruler is really nice to use. Okay, so that's just talking about our measurements. Now then we have this thing called a line plot. So in a line plot you always have a title. And so it says number of pencils measured. And then the data is all these X's and what they represent. So if I look here, it says length of pencil in inches. This is our scale here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So because there's one X on the 2, that means my data had 1, 2 in it. Since there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 X's on the 4, that means there were 5 4s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Since there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 X's on the 5, that means there were 8 5s. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 X's on the 6, so there was 1, 2, 3, 4 6s. So all this data has been put into this line plot just to make it more organized and easy to see with our eyes. Okay, so that's what we are going to be doing today. I am going to jump in and get started on my first problem, ladies and gentlemen. And my first problem looks like this. So they want me to measure the length of each paintbrush, record the data on the next page. Okay, so I'm going to zoom kind of as far out as I can go so you can see both. So I have a page of paintbrushes and then I have this recording sheet here. So I'm probably just gonna record them right here as I'm doing it. Okay, so I'm gonna use my paper ruler like most of you are going to be having. Now, notice this is the end of my ruler, but where does it really start? At the 0. So where it starts is the 0. This is where I want to line up everything at this 0 mark. So when I go to measure it, look where I'm lining that up. Not at the beginning of the ruler, but I'm lining it up at the 0. And I'm saying this one looks like it's about 3 1/4. I think that's what it's closest to. About 3 1/4. So on paintbrush 1, I'm going to say 3 1/4. Okay, let's look at my second paintbrush. So the very tip of that paintbrush is right there. This one looks like it's about 3, and then this would be 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So I'm going to say 3 3/4. 3 3/4. Okay, let's look at our third paintbrush. So to the very tip right there, I'm going to line it up with the 0. This one, ooh. This one's a little bit tricky. I'm maybe saying 4 3/4. So 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So 4 3/4. Okay, paintbrush 4. Looks to me maybe about 3 1/2 is what it looks closest to, which would be the same as 3 2/4. So 3 1/4, 3 2/4. Okay, paintbrush 5, I should mark these so I don't mix them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm on number 5. 5, I'm getting, I think it's about, it's a little bit hard to tell. I think it's about 4 2/4 is the closest. I'm just gonna mark it over there without moving it for you. Number 6 looks like it's about, maybe it's that one. It looks like it's about the same. So 4 2/4 about. Number 7 looks like it's a little bit longer. Maybe 4 3/4 about. And notice I'm saying about because it's really hard to measure these exactly because they're not quite straight. Number 8, I'm going to say is about 3 2/4. Number 9, I'm going to say is about 4 3/4. And then number 10, looks like it's my longest, and it looks like it's about 5. Okay, so now I'm going to come over here, and I have my table. I think if I look at my line plot here, it might help. If I had 2 and there's 3 and it was cut into 1, 2, 3, 4 intervals, that means that this one is 2 1/4, 2 2/4, 2 3/4, and then that would be 3, 3 1/4, 3 2/4, 3 3/4, 4, and then 4 1/4, 4 2/4, 4 3/4. So what they want me to do now is put an X to represent each one of these data. So 3 1/4, I'll put an X. 3 3/4 gets an X. 4 3/4 gets an X. 3 2/4 gets an X. 4 2/4 gets an X. Another 4 2/4, another 4 3/4, 3 2/4, 4 3/4, and a 5. So I have now made my line plot to match my data. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to actually try one of those. Now, you have screwdrivers. If you happen to have cut your screwdriver page up, then don't worry about it. Now, when we're measuring, because we're doing this one together, we might disagree on a few of them because we're getting kind of about answers. Please just stick with mine, and then when you continue to do this on your own, you can use your own measurements. But we're going to write down the ones that I write down. And then they ask us to write it down on the next page. So even if you did cut up your screwdriver page, you should be able to at least write them down with me. Okay, so our first screwdriver, we are going to say, I think it's closest to 2 3/4. So on my other page, I'm writing 2 3/4. Okay, number 2, I think it's closest to 4 1/4, 2/4. So 4 2/4. Number 3, that one's a little tricky. I'm gonna say closest to maybe 4, I don't know. I think that one's maybe closest just to 4. It's a little bit tricky on number 3. Okay, on number 4, I'm going to say 3 1/4. On number 5, I'm going to say 2 3/4. On number 6, I'm going to say 4 2/4. On number 7, I'm going to say 3 2/4. And on number 8, I'm going to say 2 3/4. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I recorded them here for me. You might want to double check that we have the same ones. So I have a 2 3/4, 4 2/4, 4, 3 1/4, 2 3/4, 4 2/4, 3 2/4, and 2 3/4. Okay, now we are ready just to make our line plot. So our line plots go from, we have our holes, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to add in our fourths. So this would be 2 1/4, 2 2/4, 2 3/4, 3, 3 1/4, 3 2/4, 3 3/4, 4, 4 1/4, 4 2/4, and 4 3/4. Okay, and now we're ready just to add our X's to represent our data. So 2 3/4, 4 2/4, 4, 3 1/4, 2 3/4, 4 2/4, 3 2/4, and 2 3/4. So you should have 3 X's at 2 3/4, 1 at 3 1/4, 1 at 3 2/4, 1 at 4, and 2 at 4 2/4. Okay, so today, ladies and gentlemen, you only have one to try on your own. So you are going to be measuring these spatulas and then recording it and creating your line plot. Okay, have a great day.